Okay, so what we've done here is just peek under here. We now have the bands coming through the boards between the sort of vellum binder's waste, the cardboard here, and it's actually coming through. And it's sort of been spread out as best I can against the cardboard. And then what you can see is I've just gotten some rough paper and glued that in on top here, not on the back, this is clear, but just on top here, that's glued, but not, sorry, I should say underneath this surface, it's been glued down to the cardboard, not on the top here. So the question is, why bother? I mean, the original, the previous restoration just had everything stuck down, leather, board, everything just stuck down onto the spine. And the answer is that if you restore a book that way, what's going to happen is the leather has no give. The leather's stuck here, it's stuck here. So it just becomes, the only way it can flex is by pivoting here, which just sets up the next incidence of the binding failing, because of course the leather will quickly split. And so if you do that, you're really only going to have a binder that lasts a few decades. Whereas this way, when we open the covers, it's all going to flex back, which basically means the entire surface of the leather here is taking the stress of having the covers opened. The other reason for doing this is, obviously we need to get the leather in somehow. So when we actually do the restoration, we're going to have to get this sort of leather underneath and stuck down. And we can't do this if we've glued the fibers here, and with this leather stuck down on top of that, we wouldn't be able to get the other leather in. So that's kind of why this sort of cardboard is here. So, but before we actually attach the main piece of leather, what we now need to do the issue we've got is that, as you can see, this leather's already starting to complain a little bit because we're putting all of this stuff underneath it that it never had before. And this piece of leather will be going there as well. So we'll see how well this survives and how much of this sort of I'm going to surrender sort of coming inward. The other thing is, if we look underneath, we've got this fabric here. So I was actually thinking about maybe putting the fabric underneath this binder's waist and just sticking this down as a surface, but I don't think there's any point doing that because eventually we're going to have to put some new paste down here anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is just stick this up like this, like so. So what we're going to end up with are sort of multiple ways in which the boards are attached to the text block. We're going to have, obviously, the bands themselves, which are glued down. We'll have the fabric underneath. We'll have this paper, which really doesn't contribute very much. And then ultimately we're going to have the leather. So there'll be multiple ways in which these boards are attached to the book, and that hopefully means that we'll have a very enduring restoration.